little bit slower in the previous stages. Suddenly, stage 3, oh my goodness, activated onto a new level, showing so many more signs of life, and really honestly making a statement about how they wanted to earn their way in Ascension. So let's see how these two teams fare out. It's a little bit unconventional from both sides, but I'm excited to see how this kind of plays.
Certainly so, yeah. We've seen these comps kind of get dredged up by both teams very recently, but they are both very much of the identity of said teams. Smiley holding on to the spike and the first blood of the game as they'll poke away at this first half of the site. Smiley on a crumb of health thanks to this Toxic Orbic, and so Giz is going to be able to finish that off, but that is the moment that NBG springs the trap, and those two primary fraggers, Car and Note, are going to be able to get activated. Zerona still subbing in for Wildfire, the last one standing, and can only escape with one more. NBG starting off with a bang.
Yeah, it's one of those moments, right, where you see the spike go down, Maryville University are like, all right, time to get our retake underway, and everything's going to be nice and dandy. And then suddenly Nightblood Gaming are just pushing into them. It's a bit unconventional, but you see them, most importantly, grouping up and going for some smaller set plays, right? And this is something that Nightblood Gaming has gotten a lot better at over the past couple of matchups. So an excellent way to kind of start things out on the very first round. Sunakar already going to have that outlaw. Zerona going to be the person who will make first contact with this. But yeah, the Trailblazer should get more than enough information and guarantee that it at least will be the orb that gets picked up by Nightblood.
Yeah, Smiley's going to find a lot of impact at the opening 6 rounds of this map, and he's got to make the rest of it count after he started to get red. That's been kind of the wall that Sky's been hitting lately when it comes to Bind in particular, but she's getting less and less hate, I think, thanks to the players that have continued to try to pick her up, despite the troubles that she kind of runs into, as Zerona's going to try and use a bird to be able to get the drop on a stack, and in fact, neither bird allows the first swing to actually get a kill. It's like a curse, man. Still, NBG making a 4v1.
As soon as you said the bird gets value, then both the teams
I'm like,
do
this
that.
guy's just now starting to get some praise and attention as the birds give away kills.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, haha, it should be good. And then, yeah, no, never mind. That's not how we want to play with our util here. But yeah, honestly, just Nightblood Gaming really doing a good job of controlling the pace and the tempo there. Playing a little bit more cautiously this time around. Ren's really just going to try and die to the spike. Headhunter in hand, might try and look for at least one, but overall just a very clean round coming through from Nightblood Gaming. The last time we saw them on this map in stage 3 was when they were playing against Landor, who unfortunately just got eliminated, the Box Rockets, but they unfortunately lost there. And so, you know, seeing them kind of pick this one back up, it means that they've probably done a little bit more research, a little bit more planning on how they want to play the map. And on top of that, these players have had more time to gel together. And as a result of that, like, you know, I think that there's a reason why we're seeing this map right now. They have to secure the win because the other two maps in the pool, I would argue, favor Maryville University a little bit more.
100%, 100%. I definitely think that was going to come into the conversation at some point. And so definitely Bind is the map that Nightblood needs to get that, like, you know, hit the ground running. They've been workshopping this comp kind of inside and outside of this map for the past couple months now. You know, Note's Clove has been under a lot of fruitful development lately. Screwface picking up the occasional secondary duelist as well. Car on this chamber. It's been a long process that hasn't all been on Bind. Unfortunately, all NBG can gain this round is altitude, no real distance, and unfortunately Maryville is going to be able to promptly meet the remainder of the spike carrying threat here in the bonus with not too much trouble, most likely. Kumi on the Viper, another, you know, thing that's been long in development for NBG after he's been kind of perma-sentineling a little bit. NBG really trying to get that flexibility going for a group of players that they know is capable of carrying more individual weight.
See how Kumi wants to play this one. Like, should be achievable. Spotted out the leg there, so we'll at least get one. But yeah, I was going to say, Maryville University, they're a little bit sharper than that. They know when to spring. They know when to go. And Sunakar in really a very difficult situation here. If you're Maryville University, you just want to carry those 3 weapons over. Call it a day, put a nice bow on top of the round, because you know that Car's not going to be able to win this one. And Ren's finding the better part of the Chamber duel. That's going to be Maryville University getting their first round on the board and carrying 3 of those rifles into this next round.
Yeah, pretty by the book so far to start for both sides, I would say. NBG just trying to farm that aggression, and Car's going to go ahead and pick up that operator, go for a glass cannon here in round 4. So it seems like they can, they're pretty confident in the level of aggression that they're able to manifest out of that. Now that the gun advantage is not necessarily there, maybe that'll actually come to fruition.
An interesting push out there. You kind of saw it. And you see this on the defense of Maryville currently, stacking the Sky and the Viper. And ultimately, like, just that, those 2 agents staying alive was where they were able to find kills, as we saw the engagement come through from Nightblood Gaming, just kind of sending the Rays in and immediately getting gunned down. And so, you know what, it is a very strong hold. And Nightblood Gaming, sure, they're able to take Hookah, but it isn't that much ground gained, because now you see the defense and on the support line, making sure that even if they pop through, it's going to be extremely tough for the team.
A lot of residual damage to do. A bird hoping to interrupt all of it, but Giza, yeah, it's just a way to get him out. And still farmed on the distance, and Carr wins the solo duel with the operator. It's just Giza that's just gonna walk in and grab 2. And that's the only way that Maryville can seem to mean to threat this at the moment, is just head on. And it's gonna continue. Note, good adjustment on the high-low to keep that advantage flowing and turn this into a 2v1 for the moment, but 3v1 once Carr gets on over here.
A V3 scenario as well. Note has the ultimate online. Definitely going to be a win, but at the very least, you know Maryville wants to force out that ultimate. Such tricky positionings from Nightblood Gaming.
It's the last of them.
You're really clean so far from NBG. It seems like they're very aware of the amount of times that Maryville is going to be able to kind of stick a fork in the road, and so NBG by their nature are playing a little bit piecemeal. Like they're playing for bits and pieces of space rather than entire rooms or channels or checkpoints. Like they're playing for halves of the B lane here instead of the full of it, as Carr is inching up on the showers. Very procedural. And it forces a lot of like extra investment and peeking and just risk assessment from Maryville as a whole. Early pit off the rip as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just purely defense here. And Note's been a player who's started to heat up, found a couple of very important kills on that last round. And I was kind of leading the charge on this Clove. Save from Maryville University. Acknowledged, and so Nightblood Gaming should have a better idea that if they just decide to take the pure gunfight, they should be able to come out on top. Gonna have a Chamber 1v1 just on B long potentially as the Son of Carr gets closer and closer to Renz.
Jeez, Renz. That's certainly a way to deal with it. Note now also given away thanks to the dog. Good proactivity from MU to keep NBG scared this round. And now the Molly to do the same. Yeah, I know it's having a good time with this.
All the meanwhile, that pressure being pulled over towards that A site, like the run down B long has happened. And sure, Renz, excellent shot. We've highlighted Renz quite a bit, but this is still a very tall order against 3 rifles. He's gonna be lucky if he finds a couple.
Ten seconds left.
No creep just yet. Taking their space, happy with it. Now, right on top of the smoke as soon as it clears away. Maryville are not allowed a hint of space. They just have to hold their choke as they're pushed. And eventually, Kumi's able to clear the crowd. Now it's panic mode for Maryville, and Zerona found in the opening, turning this to a pretty easy 2v1. Once again, NBG find the one bit of leverage they need to turn it into a very easy round, purely off of the fragging, which is a lot of what the comp relies on.
And to be fair, it was an excellent start from Maryville. Renz, the fact that he's able to find Son of Carr, shut down the operator right off the bat, and then just purely pulled to the other side of the map, thanks to Note just kind of fragging out, you know, making a lot of noise, making a fuss just in showers. And with how the last couple of rounds have gone, that's someone that Maryville has to really look out for. And so you see the defense slowly make their way over. And then suddenly it's so much easier for the Nightblood Gaming offense to just penetrate into that B site. This time Giza's under a lot of pressure here. It's just this piecemeal push, but Giza finding one.
Again, it's about getting in front of it early, meeting it head on. That's what's worked so far for Maryville's defense. And Seekers, very proactive. And Chloric able to just follow on top of it, turn into the Lamb's control. NBG doubting themselves and taking a TP. But Renz is still hanging out in the garden. And caught on the trademark will slow everybody down. Let NBG go for this reset. Carr on an op lurk of his own. Who will fall into the trap first? 55 seconds that NBG can play with, and way too much that Carr has to look at. The up's already been given away. And that may be a round for Maryville after so much slowdown. The orbital strike right on top of the push. Isolates Note, and Chloric forces another reset. Smiley now alone.
Wow, I love the protocol getting called there from Maryville University. Just so aware of everything that could be happening. Zerona not able to find the kill, but at least identifying where Smiley is. At every step, it felt like Maryville had an answer. And of course, you love seeing it. The orbital strike gets called, and then Chloric is just tossed into the blast packs, just in case someone's trying to run away, to force them right back into things.
10 seconds
It's so
left.
fun for Maryville University, and a very decisive round to make sure that they get their second.
And just in time to be able to have a stable half going forward. You have everything else in rotation now. You can't exactly jump the gun as much with these next ultimates, though. You can't get as active early on. Too risky. So it's going to be a little more about slowdown from here. And that is what makes this round so tough against a composition like NBG, is that it doesn't really care about a lot of slowdown. It just cares about fragging out. It cares about just getting onto the site, making whatever push they do work. And yeah, MU, they've done some good slowdown, but it's just been too much of a pipe dream, too condensed.
Yeah. And this time around, it's going to be Renz and Zerona being the ones who anchor here. The engagement underway. Zerona already good with one, good with two.
Spike down, B.
Renz now having to manage the chamber 1v, getting out after getting pressure from B main. So NBG have the site again. And Note trying to search. Cannot get ahead of it. Instead, the pit placed on top of the elbow. And MU gonna try and speed run the remainder of what's open, but this toxic orb setup makes it so easy for NBG to clear the crowd. A showstopper even used by Screwface. Sure, yeah, I mean, why not? I think that's just time, right? Oh, no, they're gonna go for it. Walking in, finding one. It's dry.
Last player standing.
Beautiful crunch on top. Yeah, feels like we're kind of playing into NBG there a little bit that round, honestly. I mean, like, the showstopper was more than enough to guarantee time, and they still decided to push into it. That was a bit odd.
Yeah, and rightfully so, Maryville University, calling a timeout right now. And it's so strange because these rounds, the pacing feels a little bit discombobulated, a little bit different across the board, with Nightblood Gaming, you know, pushing out over here and then suddenly recalling a little bit more, popping ultimates here, there, and everywhere. And ultimately, like, you see Maryville University, they have a very solid defensive setup. We've seen excellent things come out, but it always feels like it's an agent who's just a little bit slower coming into things, that feels just a little bit stronger on when they want to be able to push out and get some of this stuff online. So when we do get to see the Maryville strats come to fruition, it looks absolutely awesome. But then as soon as it gets a little bit uncomfortable, they're off pace a little bit, then you see the Maryville people look a little bit more confused. And so I think that calling for this timeout right now is a good idea because you can settle your brains. Coming into this one, you got the Chamber as well as the Raze ult on line. But at the same time, Senekar still coming in with that operator in hand, has been doing a good job at keeping the opposing team in check. So let's see how they go. It's going to be Nightblood Gaming spreading themselves out just a little bit more to try and mitigate some of that pressure that Maryville has been exerting on that defense.
Once again, dog called early from Smiley. Gonna try and just chain it into some easy space. The toxic screen will guarantee that that is as far as NBG can go. So they won't even really invest in hookah.
Ooh, Screwface.
Yeah, you're definitely giving away there, buddy.
Okay, well, you know what? At least they know where one of the operators is, but the question still remains, where is Son of Car? And you know that chamber is going to be good for a couple. Chloric, though, could pop the ultimate here, could land that multi-kill.
You held up on top of this orb. It'll go down. Timing on this from NBG has normally been pretty good, but Chloric, with that showstopper, is able to at least find Car. NBG temporarily backed out. We pressed on the smoke, Ange. Daring to hold it. Very pressured at this point, passively, by NBG just getting on the site. You find the timing. I might be too late. No, it's already fragging out.
It's so discoordinated coming in through here. At least they're going to have their chamber up top and taking one. But yeah, it's so decisive from Nightblood Gaming. I was going to comment on how they wanted to set this up in that post-plant positioning, just watching all these different angles, setting up all of those different crossfires. And so it really works out well for Nightblood Gaming, who right now are kind of making a statement here. It's now 6-2, and honestly, they don't really show any signs of slowing down at any point. It's just when there are a couple of miscommunications that come through, that's when Maryville have been able to find an opening, have been able to find an answer. But given that this round, they're back onto a little bit of a save, it's going to be tough for them to try and crack the code to try and stop the Nightblood Gaming squad.
Yeah, NBG have clearly been studying for this pick for sure. And Maryville, it is important to note that school just started back up. So a lot of these guys are also just like moving into their dorms and stuff. Not an excuse, but something to note. The pressure for these collegiate students. Heavy coming into this Challengers matchup. Screwface, willing to trade off of himself. Will grab the first pick on his Arona. As MU gonna work off of an eco this round.
I've got your trail.
Ooh.
Good shot. But too much. Big explosion from NBG onto the site. Oh, Chloric having some fun with it, but NBG able to clear the herd, and they will keep 4 alive. Nice lineup for Screwface to grab one there.
Damn, that was like watching some of those flicks when the neon slides and then you just see like a one-tap headshot. Very similar with the Raze blast packing across out of teleporter. But once again, Nightblood Gaming, like, they're kind of running away with this side so far. Maryville University have had a very tough time trying to slow them down as soon as they decide to enter. We got teased a little bit with the weaponry here, but there is potential right now of Maryville University pulling out a double operator setup. One on Renz, one on Chloric, to watch some of these longer angles, because it feels like they're just losing the duels against Nightblood Gaming when it just comes down to that 1v1. Nightblood feel just a little bit sharper to try and win things out as they are pressuring B long yet again.
Yeah, you're right on the money. They want to make all of these impossible lines, and that's one way to do it. Just spray your way to glory here. And Screwface attempting to open up the 1 weak channel, but Renz on that shutdown with one of the operators that's on the field here. And that will force everybody from NBG on back without too much investment from MU. In fact, Ange is going to get a little extra confident on Hookah to play keep away with Kumi, who has now been joined up by Carr, who has a sniper of his own. And it'll be a duel of those. Both miss. Double swing from both, and Ange has got it covered. And that is exactly how Maryville wanted to play into this. Operators manifesting more opportunities for Maryville to have a peeker's advantage. And now Note stands alone. A flawless round 10 for Maryville to get themselves back in the game.
We're going to call that the timeout buff coming through from Maryville University, because that was so clean. I mean, yes, the operators, they're extremely scary. The big loud gun go boom and suddenly you're dead. But at the same time, it almost felt like they were more of distraction tools for the real stars of the show, who were the people who were just playing off them. Phantoms in hand, finding the kills necessary. And so great job from Maryville University that time around, playing off of one another, understanding some of the danger that could happen, and making sure that they've got that trade. They played a little bit more safe that time, and it worked out under those opportunities, because Nightblood Gaming have been kind of winning as soon as Maryville try and take that ego peak.
Overconfidence has been the death of a lot of teams this year, and that won't change in playoffs. Maryville continuing to try to hold on to that discipline and this double op that gets a lot of pressure without even really moving an inch. A lot of Viper util utilized purely to stop this dog, and that'll let NBG confidently take over the lamps. MU just going to relegate themselves to the showers as A is default taken over here. Outstretching on the Giza, Note finds it. Cars pinched Chloric from the showers. And this is an immaculate A takeover. Zerona having to go in by himself with the help of a bird, and that is not enough by himself, but Carr will counterfrag, turn this into a 4v2.
Should be nice and easy now. Renz and And, the only two left here. Renz with only that big, large sniper rifle, as a lot of the members are hanging out, but thankfully the Viper is still alive, so Nightblood Gaming have plenty of opportunity to get themselves reorganized while Carr watches this so close.
Yeah, so many ways to peek back into this, and Carr is gonna do most of them. Renz does win the op war, but that just allows Screwface to get right in front of him and pick that operator right back up. So NBG will grab the lead by 5 back here, coming into the last round of the half. But I think Maryville have made enough of a case to show that this game is not going to be over until a team hits 13.
Yeah, that last round, even then, like, you're taking those opportunities. And so far, it really has been who's got the operators in their hands. Both of these, like, the last couple of rounds have been very clearly, decisively made by operator shots that take these very important kills. And sometimes having more operators doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to get more value out of them. But one person who's been extremely consistent with it, who else but Son of Carr, with the operator in hand, finding a couple kills, never too greedy, most importantly. And you know what has made things so much more difficult for Maryville to kind of engage, or sorry, defend these sites.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing PvE over on the Fountain while the rest of NBG push over on A site, and that might screw them over. And yet again has a lineup. Note gonna try and use his ultimate, and it'll work out for him. He's taking back over lamps, and NBG have an easy access onto site. Screwface trying to use the showstopper, and he will just in time. Zerona felled, and the Seeker's not there in time to really do any damage. Now everyone from NBG, confidence peaking and pressing. Renz puts a stop to Note's rampage, but so much setup now on top of the spike to turn this into a 9-3 lead coming out of the attack half for Nightblood Gaming. Once again, this is their map pick. Clearly, they have been preparing for this match in the past week that they've had. They want to retain this position against what is one of the heavier favorites coming out of the Swiss stage. Oh, Renz stopping Son of Carr, though. Not enough time, for sure, but yeah, at least NBG will be able to scrap away.
All right, walking away, 9-3 in the half for Nightblood Gaming. Once again, looking very clean from them. When they decide to take that aggression, when they decide that they're feeling it, they're looking clean. And someone who wasn't necessarily highlighted on the desk, but has been putting on an absolute masterclass is Note. Note's been so consistently finding so many kills. And on top of that, too, you know, it was brought up, okay, we're bringing the Clove in. Usually we see the Brimstone just for a little bit more utility, but Clove is built more around fragging out, taking those timings, being aggressive, and finding kills. And when you're 15-8 in the lobby, yeah, I think Note's playing Clove just fine. But, of course, this is the cursed scoreline. Let's see how Nightblood Gaming want to now play this defense, because they're so close to taking their map pick. But Maryville, you know they're not going to be letting up off of this one at all.
Yeah, Yeah, still a lot of game and match to play, but Note is gonna keep playing at his hardest on this something about him when he's on them. I swear, something changes in him. Now up to 16, just 13 rounds deep. As MU will make enough noise on A short to just swat him away for now, but no more. And Carr spots, and now here's Cloric legging it on over to short, which will let him go into an easy 2v1. No, Smiley is down to 7 HP. That's rough. And you can't deal with him still.
Spike down A.
That's problematic. Screwface warded away, but the paint shells can finish off Giza.
This is such a chaotic round. Like, look where the spike is. Look where the last two attackers are. I think there's going to be a group up by going through TP, potentially. No, never mind. Cloric just going to kind of run all the way around. And this is kind of telling of how Maryville University have been playing this map so far. They've got some of these, like, very clean executes. But then as soon as they fall apart, I mean, the spaghetti's all on the floor. They're just kind of all over the place. They don't necessarily know what they're going to be doing next, and it all falls apart. Cloric, though, they give it an honest chance there, but Kumi will shut that down. So Nightblood Gaming, they find themselves on double digit in one of the weirder maps that I think I've ever seen between these two teams.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a little scrappy. But NBG are happy to play into that, especially with the way that they've been playing lately. Kumi only dead 4 times so far this game? That's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. And, you know, like, one of the things that the desk also talked about was the fact that Cloric, you know, top frag on Maryville University, the IGL fragger who's been kind of doing it. And I wonder if this is part of playing Raze on this map. It's a lot more difficult to kind of make those calls consistently and, you know, just kind of focus on the whole team play. So I wonder if that's kind of been one of the issues in the gears here.
It's a good pocket. It's still kind of risky from Nightblood, especially if you're keeping the door open here. BORZ just to escort, and
Wow.
BG have got it all locked down. My goodness. That worked even better than I think they expected it to. Easy's got to do it all, and he's already run out of bullets, so he can't. So NBG are 2 rounds out from already taking their first pick. I think we expected them to be able to take this. I don't think we expected them to have this big of a gap already.
Yeah, like, it's these two teams, if you told me that they were close in skill level, I wouldn't believe you based on how things have gone. This time around, Kumi, someone the desk did highlight as being such a consistent player for Nightblood Gaming, comes out on top, just up in heaven, is able to find the kill, the heroic kill, by the way, to keep someone else alive in the midst of that flash there. I mean, it's one of those, like, blink and you miss it moments, but excellent job from Kumi to anchor things down. Son of Car goes exploring, but Ange is able to just find that kill. Taken very low, though, as a Screwface is up next to try and find.
Yeah, one of the few minor investments, and so that'll be finished away with no trade back. Cloric's already made his way up and almost finishes off the health pool, and instead they'll trade paint shells and almost do it again. Screwface pressured down to 12, and he'll eat another bird before extra pressure on the flowers. Giza can shut that down, but that's Smiley's turn to activate, and they walk into his line of sight. Zerona having to use another bird to clear out the pack, and that leaves nothing left in his tank as he approaches this B site that already has the remaining members of NBG. And Note can deal the first blow while Kumi rotates right on top of Renz's TP back.
Match point.
So NBG will take the bonus in tow as well, leaving themselves 9 rounds of game point here on Bind.
All right, Nightblood Gaming, who's gonna get the clutch this time around? It feels like they're just playing a relay race. Look at this, Smiley with the Outlaw finding 2 very important kills, where it finally felt like Maryville University had an opportunity to breach into the site. Not gonna be the case. Smiley will shut that down. So I guess at this point, it's either gonna be Screwface or Son of Car to find a multi-kill. The Raze and the Chamber currently sitting at the bottom of the kill feed, but it's all good based on how the rest of the Nightblood Gaming players have been gaming this match. As the Son of Car under a lot of pressure, but able to escape.
eats a lot and still takes Zerona down to 10 HP. That's the one guy that you can't heal as well. But Smiley still sprayed through, and Giza continuing to find kills through that toxic screen that suddenly opens up the B site while still letting these two lurkers from MU gain a whole lot of space. Already one of the best attack rounds from this collegiate squad that we've seen, and it still may be the only one as NBG are already here for the fight. Yeah, we'll just take the TP and rotate after Giza now gets a spray of his own medicine. Note, up to 22 kills now this round, and it may have to all be on him after a new smoke gets breached. Ange just able to spray his way through that, and indeed, it is all down to just Note, who will set himself up for a swing right into Renz again. So it's not over just yet. Maryville hold it down.
Wow, I was gonna say, like, you see all this stuff happen. Obviously, the clutch up moment happens all the way on that B site, making it so much easier to just move in there. And then the call gets made from Maryville University. You know, we're all the way deep on A. We just heard all of them rotate. We can set so far forwards that we're just gonna make Nightblood Gaming lose a little bit of stamina running from site to site there. And so an excellent mid-round call, pivot to go to the other site, allow for these excellent crossfires to be set up, and make it almost an impossible scenario for Nightblood Gaming to come back into it. A very interesting buy here as Son of Cart unfortunately goes down. So that is the operator already dropped. Smiley gonna try and recover it, but it's a bargain bin buy for Nightblood.
He's continuing to be a little overly gutsy here. I get that NBG is up 8, but still, stuff like that, you know, leads to some real Butterfinger holds here. Yeah, I mean, nothing can come of the rest of NBG after such an early pick like that. So MU get to 5 really easily there. And I mean, you still have a lot of ults in your kit. You still have so many ways to kind of reset fights. Like, Maryville are not out of this just yet. Nightblood Gaming still have to stay as active as they did and also continue to win their fights. Note is not the only player that's going to be able to, you know, carry them through here, especially on this new side. Despite that, you know, being up to 22 is very impressive this early into the game.
This early in the game, he says.
He's playing very impressively.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hey, you still got plenty of game if you're MU. That's the mindset, you know?
Exactly. You know, you got to be nice and concentrated here. But MU just kind of running things down. And, okay, sure, it's a little bit of a train. Chloric already gone. But, you know, in hindsight, that might help with the macro calling, the IGLing that you need to do for Maryville University. As, hey, you're at least able to take out Kubi, who has been, to be fair, kind of having a little bit more of that pop-off. Note, though, the real MVP, still alive, still very well, just holding down some of these long sight lines. So let's see how Maryville want to play it with their race taken off the table so early on.
It's not often you see somebody like know their goose is cooked and yet still get away with something despite being on like that slim a thread. That was a cinematic moment there from Chloric. And might be what gets MU over the line. Nope, no, just holds in front of it and gets 2.
Oh, it's so confident and it gets rewarded. Like, no gets 2 and walks away, and then finds Renz as well. It's over just like that. Like, this Tedrek has to be one of the strangest maps of mine that I think I have ever seen, with just so many weird opportunities, but Nightblood Gaming come out on top.
Yeah, that was a really weird one, but that was the thread that Nightblood wanted to spin, so I can't really call them out on it too hard. That's a composition that totally works for them. And I'm sorry, can you really talk on Note if he's